What?
Mm-hmm. Very good. Okay, it's 11 o'clock. I want to make sure people can hear me. If you can nod, if you can hear me, are we good? All right, thank you very much. Really happy to have you here today. My name is Keith Horner. I'm the superintendent of Apollo Career Center. To be honest, couldn't be prouder to be at Apollo Career Center. We do really rewarding things here. That's what makes my job so rewarding. I have a great job. And I'm blessed to be able to work with kids each and every day at Apollo. But Apollo is what makes this place so special when we really kind of bring kids in and often transform their lives, to be very honest. Most kids here talk about how much they love Apollo Career Center. Obviously I can't guarantee an experience, but I can tell you that in my previous district, I did not always get kids telling me that they loved being with us. And here it's a regular occurrence. So we're really happy to have you. Today we're going to go over several things. We have Tasha Sheipline, our principal, with us. Jamie Buell, Director of Student Services, is with us as well. And we will talk obviously throughout this. You have the ability to write comments and questions. However, just you will be muted. And if we don't cover things, we will try to get that information out to you with the answers to your questions as much as possible. So I want to thank you again for joining us. Today we're going to talk about what the start of the school will look like with respect to our crazy world we live in with COVID. We're going to talk about credentials, a typical day at Apollo Career Center, a few opportunities that you might want to look forward to, some support services that Jamie will highlight, and some basic logistical information. As I said, you can put questions in the chat box as well. So here's the good news. As of today, which this is just, it's an ever-changing world, but I'm very confident that we will start school as normal. I'm more confident than not that we are going to start school as normal, and that means 5 days a week in session. Now, because of that, because of COVID, we have a lot of stipulations that we have to put in place. One, to try to, minimize the risk of the spread of COVID. So we're doing that. And as you know, there's never a guarantee on anything in life, and we can't guarantee safety here, but we're going to do what we can to limit contact and exposure as much as possible. So what can you expect? Well, one thing you can expect to do is you can expect to wear a mask. So we are going to have the students wear masks. It will be mandated, and that's just the way you should really, to be honest, you should mentally get yourself in a position to wear a mask all year long. Now, let's say that you're in a program that has different requirements. While you're in your labs, we'll follow the industry standard for safety. So if you're in cosmetology, what you see at a local cosmetologist will be what you see in our labs, or similar to what you see in our labs. if it's not safe to wear a mask in welding class, obviously you won't wear a mask in welding class because there's safety issues concerned. So while you're in your lab, we will follow the industry standard, whatever your lab may be. But while you're in your academic classes, we're going to expect the students wear a mask. We know that's not convenient. I don't like wearing masks. Have one here. We wear them here. You're going to see staff members with masks as well, but it's just the way we're going to have to proceed. And to be honest with you, if the cost of coming to school, of having kids in our building is the cost of, it means that we have to wear masks, then I'll wear a mask every day. So I'll be happy to, because we need kids in this building. We will have hand sanitizer scattered throughout the building. That includes every classroom, throughout the hallways, all of that stuff. We're going to encourage kids to use it, obviously, as much as possible. There will be in every classroom. In addition to every classroom, we will need a little bit of assistance from our students, because we will have disinfectant for each classroom, so that you can disinfect your desk either at the end of your class or at the beginning of your class. You'll be able to disinfect your desk yourself. Well, we don't have the manpower to do that, independently. So we're going to ask our young men and women to help us out with that particular task. And probably the one thing that students may not, other than the mask, that students may not look forward to the most is, due to social distancing and due to contact tracing, we're going to really be strict on assigned seating. So while you're in your lab, you're in your lab. To be honest with you, your lab is like a little family. Your ability to interact there is probably more free, although your teacher may put some stipulations on you. But when you're in lunch, you're going to have to eat lunch with your career tech program. So you'll know the kids around you, but we're going to seat you by program, so that will limit contact tracing. When you go to a classroom, almost all of our classrooms do not have the great ability to social distance. Our classroom have what we call double desk. So a double student desk. So you'll have two students at one desk. So you'll have an assigned seat for all of those factors. And that's very typical in school to have assigned seating, but obviously we're going to really reinforce the fact that that's a strict model that we need to follow. So there's been a question about, will we shut down private based on the colors? We really won't use the color system shutdown. We're going to just use the guidance of our health department, the guidance of the health commissioner and the governor. So we do have a really good remote model that I think Tasha's going to go over. A really good compromise model to have like half of our students in here that Tasha will go over. We also need to talk about what will happen if a student or a staff member gets COVID. So I'm trying to let folks know now that the duty to inform you really rests with the health department and not Apollo Career Center. That's for health, that's for privacy reasons. We really have to comply with the same standards that the same laws, the same HIPAA laws that apply to a health facility apply to Apollo Career Center. So we need to be really cognizant that we don't share information. Now, we could share, and we may, but we have not determined how we're going to do this exactly yet. We may share some very broad basic information to inform you that there's been a case. But we're going to be very careful that you can't basically deduct who that case is. So that's what you can expect. If you think, oh, my student or a student has it, the health department will notify you if you need to be quarantined in any way. That is their role. They do the contact tracing. So let's say that or you think somebody in your class had it, your son or daughter's class, or if you're on here as a student, if someone in your class had COVID, and you think, oh, I need to quarantine, the health department will direct you to do that through contact tracing or not. There are certain stipulations about basically how long and how close you have to be to a person before they request that you be quarantined. Their world is changing too. I just know from talking to our Allen County Health Commissioner, who, by the way, has been wonderful to work with throughout this whole planning issue, that their rules and regulations and what they're suggesting has changed significantly just throughout the summer. In fact, just in the last week, they've made some changes. So we really rely on them. and we're going to rely on them to basically inform people if you need to be informed individually. If there's some kind of broad general notice that we can give, we will do so. But please don't expect us to make announcements every time a student is rumored or not rumored or in fact has COVID. I do want to talk to parents in particular and students. We are offering, like a lot of folks, remote academic learning. You do not have the opportunity to learn how to weld if you're not here. So our lab experiences, you do not have an opportunity to choose to do that remotely. But I'm an old guy. I've been around a long time. Remote learning, a couple different things about remote learning. One, it is simply not as effective as in-person learning. You have to be, it's a very small percentage of students who can do it effectively. Two, in the spring, when we were forced to do remote learning, we did so very quickly, and we also did not want to put students in a position where they would somehow be impacted negatively in the future. So let me give you an example. If you were a student athlete at your home school and you don't do well on remote learning, and we put you on remote learning and you didn't do well, we would not want that to impact your eligibility for a sport. So we intentionally made things easy, to be very honest. We gave you every benefit of the doubt. We changed grading scales, in fact. And that's true of a lot of schools in this area. Remote learning for us now will not be as easy. One, if you choose to do remote learning, if you have a math class at 8 a.m., we're going to expect that you attend that math class at 8 a.m. So I just want to make that clear. One, we don't think it's a good model. We really think students need to be here. Two, we don't think a lot of kids can effectively do it. Not to say that students can't do this. And then three, it just will not look like last year. So, so there's kind of the nitty gritty of what things might look like. As I said earlier, I'm very proud to be superintendent here and looking forward to seeing kids in this building because that's what we do. We want to work with kids in person. And we're excited to have all the students who chose Apollo. I'm going to turn this over to Tasha Sheipline, our high school principal.
Well, good morning, everyone. As Mr. Horner said, I'm Tasha Sheipline. I am the principal here at Apollo Career Center. And it's a great privilege for me to be here today just to kind of talk to you about some more details about what life is going to look like at Apollo, especially for those students who are coming here for the first time. So a typical day at Apollo will consist of your lab, lunchtime, and then academics. So just a kind of a hypothetical schedule might have lab at the beginning of the day. And that'd be about 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 45 minutes, somewhere in there. And then you'd have your break for lunch, possibly, and then you move on to academic classes. So that could be a related class to your lab. So maybe a welding related class or a CAD class if you're in carpentry, some type of a class like that. And then you would have your academic coursework like math, English, social studies, those types of things, depending on what you need, what credits you need to graduate. So one of the things that I think you will experience here at Wapak, which is unique, it might be unique from maybe your experience coming from your home district, is the fact that you are going to have a considerable amount of time with your lab teacher. So students really tend to form really good relationships with those lab teachers and have a great experience because most people who are coming to Apollo like to learn with their hands. They're doers. Not that they don't do well sometimes in a desk, but most of our students will say, I do best when I'm actually physically doing something, visually seeing it. And this is just an area where our students thrive. So our students really enjoy the fact that the majority of their day, the longest class they have, is the class where they're actually doing the activity. A lot of our academic teachers so our academics that we have here, one thing that we always pride ourselves on is the fact that our academic teachers also understand that our students are hands-on and like to learn by doing. And so I think our academic teachers really are in tune to that with the students and create a lot of projects and a lot of things that are kind of out of the box for you to do. So we have a lot of students who will say, well, I do better I've done better in academics here. It's not that, it's not that there's a difference, it's still an academic coursework, it's still similar content, but the way it's delivered is different because the teachers understand how our students learn. So we're looking forward to seeing you be successful, in both your lab and academics here. One of the main focuses you're going to hear about in your lab class here at Apollo is going to be credentials. You'll hear the word credential often. And credentials are essentially certificates, licensures, some form of accomplishment that you're earning. So maybe an example would be in construction equipment, a student earning their CDL. In cosmetology, that student earning their cosmetology license so that they can go out into the salon. So really kind of the end goal for you in your lab is to earn those credentials. And what credentials mean, similar to earning college credit, many of our labs have college credit tied to them if you earn the credentials. So there's a lot of great opportunities. But what the credentials mean is you are able to increase your earning potential. So, for example, someone graduating from our construction equipment program with a Class A CDL would have earning potential of about $45,000 to $55,000 beginning wage as a high school graduate. And so, if you have a job right now, you might not be making $45,000 or $55,000. So, one of the reasons you want to obtain that credential is you just now have increased your earning potential and your ability to get a job. So credentials are just a really big deal here, and it's something we want to see every student have the opportunity to earn those, because we know that that is going to equal money for you and success as you graduate. Another opportunity that we have two different opportunities for you as a senior, things you need to be working towards. In addition to credentials is the privilege to go on our school to work program or our apprenticeship program. So in a school to work setting or apprenticeship program, you have to meet certain criteria, maybe have obtained certain credentials to qualify. And what can happen is once you've hit those milestones, you can actually go work instead of attending lab. Normally our senior labs are in the afternoon. So a lot of times our students on the school to work program will be here until about 11, and then they're heading out the door and going to work, and they actually get school credit for working. The same with our apprenticeship program. So apprenticeship program is a little more rigorous, but it has a lot of benefit to it. Apprenticeship program means you would come to school for a full day for 2 weeks straight, and then you're literally off of school for 2 full weeks, and you are to go to work. And again, you get your credit for your grades and credit for your lab by working. Apprenticeship requires that you have 95% attendance in your junior year, and you also have to have a B or above in all classes, and also teacher recommendations. So these are goals that we want to kind of put out there for everybody so that you can strive for that. If that's something you want to achieve, you really need to be working all the way through your junior year to get to that point, to be able to go out on the apprenticeship program. As Mr. Horner had talked about, we have several different plans in place, a plan 1, plan 2, and a plan 3. Because this year, if 2020 has proved anything to us, it's proved that it's completely unpredictable. So we wanted to have 3 different options for how things might flow for our students and for our staff should situations change. We just know it changes rapidly, so we wanted to have 3 different options. So as of right now, our plan is to start on plan 1. And plan 1 would be attending school 5 days a week. We have lots of different safety precautions in there, social distancing, the wearing of masks, lots of different things in place to try to make sure that we do our best to create a safe environment for our staff and our students. Under plan 2 is where we would actually shift. So that would be in a case where there may be elevated COVID cases, and we would get direction from health department or governor and need to take additional steps for protective measures. And so what we find is, again, you can't learn to drive a bulldozer virtually. It's very difficult, or maybe you could, you're just not going to be very effective at it. So we know our students need the hands-on portion as much as possible. So under Plan 2, you would attend school 2 days a week, full day, and you would be in lab all day on those 2 days so that we can try to get you as much of the hands-on experience. On the remaining 3 days, you would be expected to do virtual learning from your home, attending those academic classes remotely, which would be kind of as Mr. Horner laid out. If a class is starting at 9 o'clock, you're going to need to be, actively in that class at 9 o'clock. So that is the blended learning model. And then our third model that we have in a worst case scenario would be an entirely remote model. But again, when we look at what is best, what is healthy for our students, and how are our students going to go out and be able to graduate, go out in the workforce with the skills they deserve to have, obviously doing those things remotely is very, very difficult. We do a lot of different things. Some of the labs you're going to find, I can learn these things pretty easily. But I don't know about you guys. I don't really want a haircut from somebody who's never actually picked up a pair of scissors and cut hair. That sounds scary. So we want to make sure that you guys are getting experience and getting that hands-on, and we are going to push as hard as we can to try to always put our students first and get you that experience. I do have on my list that there was a question that was submitted previously that I was asked to answer, and that is in regards to student lunch counts. Someone had asked a question about student lunch counts. Do students need to bring money every day? No, here at Apollo, we're pretty tech savvy. We have lots of different options in place. So you can kind of do the old school way. You can write a check for lunches. We have a drop box, and that will be put on the student's account. When the student goes through the lunch line, they kind of have a little PIN code. They put in a code that they receive on their schedules, and they can access their lunch money through that. We also have a new kind of like an iPad system that's going to be out in the front where students can actually come and load money onto a student account. Even simple things like you can call our cashier and get direction on how you can apply lunch money using a credit card. And there is lots of information on our website in regards to the school lunch system and things like that we encourage you to access. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Jamie Buell and let her answer some additional questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Sheipline. Yes, I'm Jamie Buell, Supervisor of Student Services here at Apollo, and many of you have probably received many emails from us, from me over the time in the summer, and we'll continue to email update you as well as look for many updates on our website. So in the last email you received, you have a link to our website that explains a lot of what Mrs. Sheipline was talking about with our restart plan, so you can definitely visit the website to look that over. As for typical things, since we are not having our open house, uniforms, that is a link that you can see on our website as well to order your uniforms, and then those uniforms will be delivered the first day of school. So the first day is August 25th, and students will receive, if they have ordered their uniforms in time for that deadline, they will receive their uniforms on the first day. So big question has been, what do I wear the first day? You can wear, typical school appropriate clothing, maybe what you have wore to your home district before, and then you will receive everything that day. We'll also be giving you 2 t-shirts to start out, and those will be Apollo shirts that you will be able to wear throughout the school year. And if your uniform is not in yet, you will be able to wear your t-shirt to school as well. Parking passes came up as a big question. That is typically something we do at open house. We are going to issue those also on the first day of school. So we will be around to visit your labs and talk to you about that. If you need a parking pass, we will gather your information and issue you a parking pass on that first day of school. Lockers, same thing. You will receive your schedule in the mail. We will be mailing those out August 17th. So they will go out in the mail to you. And then if you have questions, let us know, but your locker information will also be on your schedule. So on that first day of school, it'll kind of be a nice run through. We'll be able to take you through many things as small groups with your lab. You'll kind of navigate around the building, see where everything is located, get really familiar with your schedule as we walk you through your schedule that day as well. So hopefully a lot of those questions that you may have about where things are located will be all answered on your first day here at Apollo. There are forms on our website. You can click on those links to do the online forms. There's also an emergency medical form. You may be receiving an email shortly about some online information that we will send you, and you'll just have to click on the link and fill out that information. And that's just to help us collect further information to help with School Messenger. So when the School Messenger is all set up and your information is loaded into the system, then we will be also sending school message system alerts out to you and updates to you once the school year begins. If you have any questions at all, feel free to email us or call our office. The phone number is 419-998-2921. You can also see that in the emails that I have sent out to you, but if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask. I think we have a little bit of time here for questions. If you would like to put a question in the chat box, we can read that question and then answer for everyone.
Jamie, do you want to answer that question regarding band?
Yes, so you are still able to change your schedule, okay? So if you are scheduled to be in band, ag, or another class back at your home school, and you have chose not to do that anymore, please just email us and also contact your homeschool counselor. Let them know that you no longer plan to do that, and then we will make the change here so you're here a full day.
So there's a question about, do the students have to wear the mask with the uniform? And the answer is yes. Obviously, labs may be different, but most of them are going to require masks. So again, mentally get yourself ready to wear mask all day long. You know, I know they've talked about mask breaks, and we'll probably, you know, make sure that you can have those in some capacity, but we're going to be wearing masks. So we just think we have to do that to be able to, you know, continue to have school.
All right, so for supplies for non-academic classes, what I recommend is that you bring a notebook with you on the first day and a writing utensil, pen or pencil, whatever you prefer. Then when you go to your different classes and you do your schedule on the first day here, your academic teachers will go through what you will need, okay? So then you can take notes. They'll also be passing information out to you. But if you just make sure you bring, you know, a notebook and a pencil for the first day for academic classes, that would be great.
Kelly, thank you. I'm sorry I misunderstood that question. So the mask, we are offering masks. They're also in your uniform store that you could buy them. Obviously you have masks. We would ask that they simply be school appropriate. So you kind of know from your homeschool what is appropriate, what is not. You know, alcohol, you can't have a Bud Light sign, sorry, Bud Light mask. But you could have a Go Apollo mask for sure.
So for the first day of school, you will not have your parking pass yet, but we will be visiting your labs on the first day, and we will be issuing parking passes out to you. There is no cost for a parking pass.
Good question, Chase. The masks need to be masked. This is intended to cover your face and your mouth and your mouth and your nose, excuse me. So no, they would not be able to have a mouth. That would not qualify as a mask. We would ask that you're going to be able to cover your nose and your mouth during that time. But thank you for that question. Other questions? As Jamie stated, we encourage you, if you didn't, one, feel comfortable, two, you think of a question later, or whatever it may be, contact us. We'll be happy to help you out. We want you to feel comfortable about coming here. We're so glad you chose Apollo Career Center. As much as, you know, we're tickled to death. By the way, our enrollment is very strong. This probably will be the third year in a row that we've had record enrollment. We're expecting just under 800 students in our building, which would be, again, a record for us. So we do have a few more questions coming in. Jamie, do you want to hit those?
Okay. Yeah, sure. So for book bags, we do not allow them to go into classrooms. So you may bring them into the building and then place them into your lockers. So if you have, items in a drawstring bag, that's fine. But once you enter the building and you start your schedule, everything is put into your lockers. For health science, you should have received some information from your health science teachers by now. Please see their email that was sent to you, and you can contact them about any supplies that you need for health science, along with the packet that was mailed to you and emailed to you as well.
So,
We also want to encourage students, if you are looking for lists of uniform information, supplies, any of those things, each of you have your own tab on the high school. If you go under the high school section of the Apollo Career Center's website, information specific to your program can also be found there. Some of that information, if you're missing something that might have been mailed home in that initial packet, you may be able to find some of those items there.
All right, so if you have questions about vacation, you can please email me and I will send you the form for that vacation.
regarding mask, again, the design, you can have a design on it. It just needs to be school appropriate. So what is school appropriate? No cuss words, no references to alcohol or drugs. There's probably a few other things that I'm forgetting right now, but the typical things that you probably were not allowed to do at your home school. In regard to busing, there was a question about busing. The home schools are responsible for your busing. Well, I do know that Walpock in particular has changed their times, but they have told me, I've not heard the solution, that they're attempting to work out a solution for Apollo students. So I would call Mr. Menig at Walpock High School directly.
All right, and yes, the event on the 20th is no longer going to happen. There was also something published in the Lima News, I believe, or limaohio.com. There are no orientations here at Apollo prior to school. So everyone will start the first day on August 25th for first year program students. As for papers to turn in, those are also to be brought in on your first day of school. And I believe
Gotcha.
Mrs. Dukes also posted on the chat box, you can see the link to our website for new student information. So please make sure you go to that and you can see a lot of the information we talked about today there.
Tasha, do you want to address the locker sign?
At this time, we're kind of requesting that students not hang items on the exterior of their locker, just because, trying to keep areas so that we can disinfect easily, the exterior of lockers, things like that. If you have signs on the outside, it's going to make it kind of an issue, or we could ruin them if we're spraying things and cleaning things routinely. So our custodial staff have kind of really upped the game on how we disinfect and sanitize on a regular basis, and we just don't want to hinder that, because this is a large building and you're definitely going to see that when you come. So at this time, we're going to say no on the locker sign, but that could change. If situations improve, we may change that.
If Apollo closes or delays and your homeschool does not, you're going to follow the Apollo schedule. Now, if you have a first period class, there are some kids that might have a class at their homeschool still. So yes, they would be required to go to that class. But if you're strictly a 100% Apollo student, you just follow the Apollo schedule. Okay. Again, we really want to thank you for choosing the Apollo Career Center. I do want to talk a little, just for a second, just to give we talk a lot here about being next ready. And what next ready means is really, we have students who come to us from 11 different school districts, really more than that, but we have 11 different member districts, and you all come from you have different interests, different experiences. Well, we don't want to limit any student. We want to make sure that they're ready for whatever's next in their life. That can be college, and if you don't think it's college today, maybe you will next year. Or it could be going directly into the workforce, or it could be in the military. We just want to, we know you're going to have a long life, you're going to have a lot of opportunities. We want to prepare you for what's next in your life to the best of our ability. And we're trying to give you a skill that you could use. You know, we might have students who want to be a cosmetology student who wants to do hair to pay their way through college. Or maybe you have no interest in college at all. We want to support all those paths. So we just want to support students in what's next, and what is best for them. So I want to thank you. Tasha, do you have anything else at all?
Yes, if there are any other questions that might not have gotten answered that were in the chat, we will have a page on the high school. So if you go to, again, apollocareercenter.com, go to the high school homepage, and we will have something posted on there called the Zoom frequently asked questions. So just in case there's anything we missed and you didn't get a question answered, you can check on that page. And as always, you're welcome to call our office, message us through Facebook, those types of things to try to get questions answered for yourself.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to close the Zoom, and we are really looking forward to seeing your students here soon. Thank you.